must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
I will begin with a statement, a short statement on the topic. 1. Cliffhanger politics occurs when the left hits the right hits the center hits the north hits the south. The state of confusion over taxation in this Republic of Kenya leaves a lot to be desired. From 2013, the MPs that were in Parliament at that time passed a budget, recommended that budget, and said the 16% levy would come into effect in 2013. But later on, they decided to push the date to 2018. President Uhuru Kenyatta took over a government that had obligations, both local and international. In international obligations, he had to continue to service the date that the government of President Kibaki had. Of course, with the continuation of assembling and making sure that the Constitution of 2010 works effectively, the president had to embark on a budget that could see cementing the rule of law through constitutionalism, making sure that all the institutions of the world, that the world wants, are working and work in Kenya. It is therefore very important to understand the root causes of the current taxation saga that continues to haunt and create cliffhanger politics into this nation. The 11th Parliament passed the budget. The 12th Parliament today found the budget and the tax levy had already been passed. For all these years, from 2013 to 2018, there are several oversight committees in Parliament, committees of finance, committees of budget, committees of all legal and other apparatus that work up in a democracy. Why didn't they look at this as very important taxation that had been shelved by the Minister of Finance? It is therefore very prudent and very important for the people of this country to understand, and the rest of the world to understand, that the international obligations and the factors that run around international agencies that lend in money, that support our programs in Africa, they come with conditions that you must fulfill before the sustenance of such grants or loans or whatever help they are giving to the nations in Africa. It is very important, therefore, to learn that behind all this, there is what we call cliffhanger politics. The politics that seeks to victimize. The politics that seeks to push a person to the wall. The politics that seeks to cause a state of despondency where the masses could turn against the president of republic of any country in Africa. These factors could be coming from both internal and external forces that are hidden, that would like to collapse the systems and replace the systems with their own likings. It is therefore very important for the people of Africa to watch out for such maneuvers, such Machiavellian systems of operation. Machiavellian in the sense that they planted the story, they orchestrate the script, they write the script, they tell, they engineer, they sit down and discuss the formula on how to weaken a government. One of the things disturbing Machiavellian politicians or cliffhanger politicians is what is it that it was in the handshake. It is this handshake that has pained even those who were moderate, who turn around to become hardliners. It is this handshake, the question of redemption, seeking redemption, that people are querying. What is it? What is it? What is it? What is inside it? The government therefore should move fast to make sure that they put it out in the 9-point program that we see, so that it is among the people that the terms of reference of all this is thrown to the people to make their own judgment. The second reason why cliffhanger politics works, or why people create cliffhanger politics, is to confuse the main item. What is the main item of Kenyans today? The main item of Kenyans is to fight corruption. Since President Uhuru Kenyatta declared that he will fight corruption through a lifestyle audit, there has been a sense of cliffhanger politics, direction of cliffhanging, of taking us to almost falling and then coming back. These are called diversionary tactics in political science. Tactics that take your enemy or your friend, or even tactics that can take a country into a bad direction, keep it there, bring it back, manipulate it, so that the main issue of corruption is not discussed. These are cardinal points that people must look at when you are fixing your mind on the current political, economic, social mechanisms that are operating on the state of Republic of Kenya. Like in Zimbabwe today, the cliffhanger politics has entered the same style of cliffhanger politics of Machiavellian. Boycott, don't come, come in later. Oppose, don't oppose, come in later. That is the way cliffhanger politics works. Any student of political science will know that those who seek to grab power through dubious means to cause despondency first go by causing a state of despondence by making sure that the masses hate the leadership. President Uhuru Kenyatta, as a shepherd, must strike the shepherd. As the owner of the sheep, must strike the shepherd once for all. Strike the shepherd, the sheep will scatter.
First of all, let me thank you. I've prepared 2 papers which I believe will be circulated because they'll not be projected. But if you can see, first of all, I want to agree with the Honorable Minister. I've done 2 pictorials. One of them is described as Africa at the dinner table. And if you look at Africa at the dinner table, Africa is on a plate and it is meat. And the diners at the dinner table are France, the United Kingdom, the United States, the European Union, the Chinese, and progressively the Arabs. And my second picture is the African hotspots. It's not visible from there. But if you look at Africa today and you make a clean sweep with your mind, there are different conflicts of different intensity in Somalia, in northern Mauritania, in northern Mali, in Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Guinea-Bissau, in the Cameroons, in South Sudan, and one can go on and on. And there is a sense in which Africa has always been alive to the question of interference. I will refer this audience, particularly those who are starting, to take time and read the 32 odd speeches that were made in the month of May 1963 by the then heads of states and government of independent African states, the 32 of them. And there are two speeches that I want to isolate for this presentation. One was by David Dacko of Central African Republic. And in thanking Emperor Haile Selassie and Kwame Nkrumah on that day, he said that we must never forget that the colonial power has not left us. We must recognize that he did not go willingly. And if we don't check them, they'll come back again. And what would little Central African Republic do against them? Today, he is right. Today, if we remember the activities of France and how they propped up the regime of Jean Bedel Bokassa, he was right. Today, as the Honorable Minister has indicated, Africa remains the only continent in the world that is referred to in these terms, Anglophone, to mean that we are a sphere of our erstwhile colonizers. About 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting of the Commonwealth in London, England. And a friend of mine who is an Anglophile sent me the photograph very gleefully, saying this is a meeting of 53 equal states. I told him no. If it was so, why is it that the leadership of the Commonwealth is hereditary rather than rotational? In other words, in the minds of the British, her former colonies are still under her tutelage. And I want to submit to us that in the minds of what I'll call the conceptual West, they think they have a divine duty to instruct Africans what to do. And in the minds of many African leaders, they think that they have a divine duty to accept what they are told. That, in my view, is what the Honorable Minister was talking about, the mindset. And this is something that has been examined. We have seen France and its very pernicious presence in Africa. We know what they did in Burkina Faso against Thomas Sankara. We know what they did in Mali or the Sudan against Modibo Keita or against Sekou Touré in Guinea. Pernicious to the core. The Portuguese, we know what battles had to be fought in that area. And let me put this very bluntly. When the former leader of Portugal, Marcelo Caetano, was asked, why can you not allow the colonies to gain independence? This is what he said in substance. As I have examined world history over the years, the following have emerged. That the Caucasians have been responsible for monumental discoveries in the development of man. So have the Chinese, so have the Arabs. But the Africans have been responsible for nothing. They are only fit as hewers of wood and drawers of water. And I want to submit to you who are present here that in the conceptual West's unguarded moments or guarded moments, that is what they think. And that is how they relate to Africa. So the whole idea that they will interfere is something that they think is their God-given duty. I said there were two speeches in 1963 that I wanted to refer to. I referred to David Dako. The second one was the speech by Kwame Nkrumah. And Kwame provided the solution. He did not complain about colonialism. He said, we must live here with one army, with one command. We must live here with one currency. We must live here with one currency, one country. I do not know where its capital will be, but I suggest Leopoldville or Bangui. Other leaders may have their thoughts. Kwame was right, but who listened to him? Several years down the line, and I've said it in my paper, there were coup d'etats which were engineered, there were mutinies which were engineered, and other forms of destabilization. And I want to believe that the person who actually said it very well in the 1980s was the former American President Ronald Reagan. He said, the United States of America does what is in her best interest. And I agree with him. Does Africa do what is in her best interest? Do African leaders do what is in the best interest of Africa? Interference will be there in very blatant and brazen ways and in subtle ways. I've always asked, until very recently, how many African countries manufactured bullets? Very few. Until very recently, how many African countries, in fact, how many African countries manufacture jet fighters? How many African countries are involved in the arms industry? Some of the leading conceptual West countries which pontificate to us about prizes, peace prizes, are the leading manufacturers of landmines. And if you look at their foreign exchange earners, it is the military and security items. So they say with their mouths, what do they not believe in their hearts? In Kiswahili we say, vita vya panzi furaha ya kunguru. That when the locusts are fighting, it is the joy of the hawk. Because when they kill each other, they get the food easily, dead. It is in the best interest, I dare submit, without fear of contradiction, that the elite in the conceptual West does not want Africa to stabilize, despite their assertion to the contrary. And you'll see it in every country because conflict is a major industry. Today, you look at South Sudan and the many peace conferences that are being held, but if you ask who supplies the arms, who provides safe havens, it is the conceptual West. And when I use the term conceptual West, I'm saying that it extends to countries which are geographically not in the West, like Australia or Canada. So I'm submitting in answer to your question, Joe, that interference is there, and it is part, to use this old cliche, of the neo-colonial project. The neo-colonial project requires that Africa must remain within the sphere of influence of these states. Today, if you look at the United Kingdom, which has left Europe, one would have thought that those are their cousins and that they should sit in comfort with them. You will now see their involvement being de-emphasized in Europe and their interest and appetite growing towards the Commonwealth. Because in the Commonwealth, they are the major domos. They'll tell us what to do. In Europe, they have to grapple with the Germans and the French, and they don't like it. That is the unspoken bit of it. The French also are in Europe, but the Germans are too strong, and they don't like it. So they want to hold Côte d'Ivoire, Gabon, and tell them what to do. I do not know how many of you saw the press conference that was attended by President Macron of France and Nana Addo of Ghana. And when Nana Addo spoke as an African should, you could see the body language of the French president. How dare this man speak this way? In other words, I'm saying that interference is the mother's milk of European economies. But to answer your second question, they have their own recruits who Professor Philip Nying'ura will be speaking here. To use the old vocabulary of those days, they have the people you call their compras de bourgeoisie. You must remember. The compras de bourgeoisie are Africans with black faces, but essentially they are doing the bidding of these powers. They are the ones you'll find them in different spheres. And they will be present. They are in your cabinet, but they are actually representatives of the foreign intelligence agencies of those countries. We know this. If you look at the declassified papers from the United States, we now know that some of leading cabinet ministers in many African countries were working for the CIA or some Western agencies. So you are sitting in cabinet, and in these days of the mobile phone, they are possibly texting their masters in Europe and America. So interference is also exacerbated by these compras de bourgeois for their own benefits. And it has never changed, Honorable Minister. In the early days of slavery, they gave some of the chiefs mirrors and alcohol. Today, what they give them are flats in Paris or in Dubai. And that is what makes them undermine Africa. The third mode of interference is through institutions. Look at the competition as it is now. There is a new entrant into the market that is called China. China is very subtle. Many people wrote the obituary of Rwanda in 1994. 20 years down the line, it has been demonstrated that Africans can actually do it. Between 1983 and 1987, I think Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso also demonstrated that it can be done. We saw in Somalia, despite their problem. So my prescription is African unity. Africa must now begin to negotiate initially in terms of blocks, SADC, ECOWAS, East African Community, and ultimately as African Union. And lo and behold, we must do it. And I've always said this cliche, we must do it, because if we don't do it, we will be done. Thank you.
I'm Paul Mulagoli, a resident in Nyeri County. I've got services, fast delivery of services. Today I've got my clearance from EACC. I've also got my good conduct in less than 30 minutes. So before I could have walked to Nalombi, used my day, and maybe I will not even get all the certificates I required. So I can thank the President of the Republic of Kenya for this initiative of Huduma Kenya. We have got services, free delivery of services, 2 minutes, one is gone, and I recommend him. This is the service we want.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from Nairobi. It is 9:30 in Germany on the satellite system, which is on this other side, broadcasting on channel 001 and 2003 in conjunction with Southern Cameroon Broadcasting Corporation. Viewers, wherever you are in Africa, thank you very much for listening to us all this time, for watching us all this time. We shall continue to broadcast, to talk to you, to impart quite a lot of information on Africa, to give you the way forward and how Africa works. This station is a station for you. We need your feedback. We need you to talk to us. We want feedback from every angle, in Nigeria, in South Africa, in Cameroon, in Cote d'Ivoire. The people of Amazonia in Cameroon continue to suffer, continue to be killed. They are murdered, slaughtered, maimed, women raped, children defiled by the peer regime that has refused to look at the human rights side of which every country must stand. Today we have specific topics. Topic number one will touch on the corruption in the judiciary of Republic of Kenya. As you are aware, President Uhuru Kenyatta has said he needs only evidence and the courts to help in the fight against corruption. No witch hunt. Yes, we agree. But there is one elephant in the house. The elephant in the house is the judiciary. There is no case that goes in that judiciary of Republic of Kenya and comes out and you are happy as a citizen of Kenya. There is no case that goes in that court without any fixer, without people fixing it, lawyers, defense lawyers, growing rich, fattening on the bribes that they give to judges. They even give them on CCTV, they don't care. They make arrangements to receive this type of bribes. 4 judges in the Supreme Court are under the microscope of the Judicial Service Commission. The judiciary, the Deputy Chief Justice, is struggling not to be charged. And she thinks she is working in a court which has credibility. The Kenyan court has lost, Supreme Court has lost credibility. There's no doubt about that. And I don't think there is anywhere on planet Earth where we can sit and smile and say we are all right. I don't see the word all right here. President Kenyatta must find a solution. Must find a solution. He's aware that you cannot fight this corruption when you still have Chief Justice Maraga heading the court that has no direction, heading the court that sentences the person in the morning and removes the person in the afternoon, heading a court that gives a fine of 200,000 and another court in a few minutes changes it to 2,000 shillings, heading a court whose judges are the law themselves, not the Constitution. They don't read the Constitution, they interpret their own laws. Heading a court that actually has interest in cases and they don't renounce, or they don't say, no, we are not part of these cases because I know David or I know X. Heading a court that has no projection, that doesn't give advice to the other 2 arms of government, which law should be changed. Chief magistrates, chief judges in the world are supposed to interpret and reform and write documents, journals to change the law. If you ask whether Maraga has ever written a journal I have never seen a journal by Chief Justice Maraga. A judge in Britain has written several journals of law. Chief Justice writes a journal, his opinions in legal matters. Is there any writing that Maraga writes here? Show me one document that Maraga has written, is published for people to follow the rule of law. It is not there. It's pétier. So what is this that we are looking for in this court? This court has nothing, completely nothing. This court, Supreme Court, has nothing. This Supreme Court is the one that is denting the entire judiciary of the Republic of Kenya. President Kenyatta might not be able to speak about it. Neither does he have a solution for it. He has no means of dissolving it. So we people who see the problems, someone will not tell me I should not speak about the court because I was gongered in that court. I was gongered when I went in for the work envelope. Someone gongered me, and they are there on the Supreme Court. I don't want to push it further because this person was my friend, and I've kept quiet. But the truth is that I lost huge money, and I cannot, that is the only way I can get back the pain of that money that I lost. Yet I was fighting for a country, and somebody went on twisting me like this and said my court, and then they sat down and said, oh, okay, Justice Waki should not be part of this, also no Kumatanga not to be part of it. I was injured. I'm pained up to today. I lost money. I went on plane to go and file those applications. I was flying with using money, my money. I was not asking for President Uhuru Kenyatta to give me money. Neither was I asking for Ruto to give me money. When I was flying to file those applications for work envelope to be given, to be removed from the Kenyan books, none of them gave me money to fly there. So two judges are there. They fixed my case, finished me. So I cannot keep quiet. This is the only time for me to talk. Can the president tell us which way we can get this court out? He's talking of fighting corruption in court illegally. How are you going to fight illegally in court? This Maraga is there. If Maraga is in that court and another woman is there, it's impossible. It's impossible. So the court in Kenya is in trouble. The apex court is rotten, is rotten, is rotten. The defense lawyers who take cases there know what the outcome is. If you look at Ahmed Nasir dossier implicating justice, you see it is like a film, a video. It's a very well organized video, as if it is happening in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. Judge calls as if he's going to the airport, flying away. He receives $7 million. $7 million. And they share. You look at that. This is a very serious scenario that we cannot keep quiet and go on saying we are all right. We are not all right. The president equally has now no solution for us. Can he use a presidential order to dissolve the court? No. So we have to use all means, including the judiciary, the media, including the push that some of us have been pushing to tell Maraga that the court has trouble. Get out of that court. Thank you very much, viewers. The situation in our courts present a very difficult situation for every person living in Kenya or doing business in Kenya. It is therefore very important for us to look at the type of things that we can do that can change the situation of the courts. It is very, very obvious that things have changed, and the things will change for the better. The situation in Kenya will change, but that situation can only change if we can be able to change the courts. I want to thank the international community for supporting the friendship, the handshake in Kenya. My second topic today, apart from the court, because I will come on the courts in the People's Court this afternoon, I will have a show on the People's Courts. I will bring a major topic in the People's Courts. The handshake. As I sit down and watch and listen to leaders in Kenya exchange their barbs on a daily basis in a well-organized, orchestrated church rallies, the role of the priest in Kenyan churches has diminished. The role of the priests is no longer there. When you look at the priests sitting in the altar, watching politicians hammering each other, making swearing statements in the church of God, in the house of God, then you wonder whether we still have a church left in this country at all. This weekend, two sides of the both divide of Jubilee were at each other again. The president told them to unite the country, but it seems there is no unity at all. And I have got to be very frank to say now for sure that there is no unity in this place. This center is falling apart. When you look at the both politicians, one church in Nyeri and another church in Nairobi, the church in Nairobi is headed by the deputy president, and the church in Nyeri was headed by Commander and other people, and Ngunjiri, Wambugu. When you look at what these guys are doing, one wonders whether they know exactly the type of damage that they are bringing after all what we have gone through since 2008. I am so scared, man, when I see people like Minister of Agriculture trying to save his time when he cannot account for the farmers' maize, trying to seek protection by trying to speak even Kikuyu that can be interpreted very badly. What is going on? When you see the other side, the barbs that came from Nyeri in a church, Jesus Christ, what is going on, my people? You are tearing this country on a very daily basis. You are destroying the handshake. When Raila Amolo Odinga and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta took a step to make sure that we are not beaten stones on the roads of Nairobi, to make sure that people don't die because of an election anymore. They did it with good faith. Where has this faith gone? What has destroyed the faith? My people, what is it that is paining both all of you? Power can be there, but the people you are going to, who are going to vote for you, if they are injured, if they don't eat, if there is no economic activity, they will not vote. You have seen in Nigeria, 84 million people registered. Out of 84, 28 million only voted. The rest rejected Buhari. They sat at home. The situation, the way it is going, the way people are doing the politics now, Kenyans might not vote at all. Some of them will sit at home and allow the situation to be as it is. Politics has become a hobby, a serious hobby, that the church, what about the church goers? Sorry. The people who go to church, do these priests think about the men, the poor people who did not eat yesterday? They have walked to look at you in your white gowns, seated there, throwing the ball in the congregation, that talk to them. Whom are you addressing? I don't think the people who go to church listen to some of these sermons. I don't think they know what the deputy president or is talking, or what Ngunjiri Wambugu is talking. It is really very bad. Mr. President, it's very bad. We are just brewing trouble. This trouble is being brewed not by ODM, but by Jubilee Party itself. And the time has come for us to come out, like some of us who have seen these things in a worse way. In 2007, I was here. These things started that way. The animosity between Raila and Kibaki started when I was in Intercontinental Hotel as a Sky News correspondent. I was watching. I could hear so and so was bought pangas. Another man was arrested with pangas on a roadblock somewhere in Webuye. Another one here. I could hear these things. Until we reached a point when this thing came to a boiling point. Now, why are we having boiling points? Why don't we do one thing, my brothers and sisters? To do a hope step retreat. Let the people, all this, whatever friction you talk, whatever way you talk, east or west, do you know what is happening? What is causing trouble? Let's bring those clips of the churches. Both churches, you can get them, my production team. If you can bring the clips, and you hear what people talk in church. I want the people to hear. Before I come to the second position, I have 10 minutes. Let me see the clips. The two clips will show you that there is a problem in this country of national unity. The lack of national unity. The sending of missiles from one group to the other. The church service, when you read newspapers, singing the same song, the Deputy President, William Ruto, with Agriculture CS Mungiri, Langata MP, Nixon Korir, Embakasi West George Theo, when they attended the church service in PCEA, Nairobi West. The pictures are here. And what were they saying in the church? The leaders, the church leaders, the children that you greet in church, what do these children think about us elders who go to church to insult each other? Why do we insult each other in church? As if we did not see what happened yesterday about Kenya. Why were we on the flights going to this place in the ICC? It's because of this type of words. They start like this and they magnify into a bigger thing. The type of wording that's taking place, the younger generation youth who are walking around waiting, trying to make sure that they pile themselves near some leaders, is very bad. The unity of purpose, the handshake, how far has it gone? What is the problem? What is it that the people who hate the handshake why don't they say what they don't want to say? Say it. Say that you don't want. I have been personally been criticized that I used to harass Raila Amolo Odinga on a daily basis, which is true. But when the nation tries to unite, I can't harass him anymore. But it seems to me now, there are people who are really against Raila Amolo Odinga. They don't like him completely. But they haven't forgotten this is the same man, is also a national of Kenya. He belongs to Kenya. He belongs to the same country. You can hate me, Matanga. I have no problem because I don't belong to Kenya. You can tell me don't be in Kenya, go away. I'll go away. But you can't hate Raila because he's a Kenyan. You can't hate him. You can't tell him that he did a very bad thing to do a handshake with Uhuru. Because he's a Kenyan. He made a decision on behalf of Kenyans. Other Kenyans that follow him. The guy has 7.8 million voters who voted, who turned up to vote. Jubilee got 80.7 something million, 1 million votes across. Surely you cannot expect him not to have a say in the country's matters. Where do you put him? So we should have respect. We should talk like mature people, calm down and reason other than breaking this nation on the path it is going, using church services, attending churches, destroying churches. I don't know where the production has got the church clips of the deputy president in the church and the one in Nyeri. I wanted my viewers to see the type of words that are being said in both places so that we can balance and see for people world, you document these things. Tomorrow they will be needed. People will say, no, I did not go to that church. I was not there. It's a very sad situation. I am not very happy at all. And I can't, look, we are saying we take the cases to the judges. The judges are corrupt. So who is going to give us justice? Who will give these Kenyans justice? Then when you come to politics, the center in Jubilee cannot hold. The same men who took off on the Jubilee ticket, the same MPs who went to parliament and swore to defend the constitution, are throwing stones at each other in churches. Why are you not holding? Why don't you hold rallies? Why do you go to a church? The poor people who have gone to pray, how will God look at us? How will God look at the people who have been denied their prayers, the rightful place to pray? Viewers, is a very sorry state. The situation needs to change so that the people in Kenya can live comfortably, given that there was a handshake which we all agreed. Another newspaper in Kenya brings in the border, which is the rider time bomb. It is them who commit crimes. It's them who carry assassins. It's them who direct where the thief is. Them who reach the nearest center. It's them who carry illicit goods, drugs. There's a lot of crime. Border is everywhere. In South Africa, in Kampala, in Kenya, there is the crime of the border committing if it is not well regulated. Regulations need to be put in place. Up to what time should the border be on the road? The one that is found in the road past that. Those are the church services that I saw yesterday. One in another church, another one in the other state. So they will hold the border. That is the type of life that we saw yesterday. That is in a church, one of the organizations. So are churches becoming the battlefield? Why don't we go to these churches and say, Bishop, I want to see you quietly. I stole 200 million and I'm returning 150. I remain with 50 million to keep my children. Then I'll tell God that I'm sorry. Why don't we do that? This country will be hallelujah. This is the period of Lent. It is Lent. Let's redempt. Let's redempt. Let's heal. Let's reconcile. Let Kenya reconcile. Let it heal. Let it reparate. Let it reconstitute. Let's have a BBI. Let's travel this country, valleys, mountains, preaching BBI. Let's preach reconciliation. If you don't know what BBI is, let me give you the real theory, because it's me who has been singing about redemption. We need a redemption strategy. Kenya needs a redemption strategy. There is no way you can do without a redemption strategy and manage this country anymore. You need to redempt. You need to change your behaviors. You need to forgive. You need to be forgiven. You need to heal. You need to reconcile. You need to tell the truth. You need to account. Above all, you need to heal. The healing process must be in this. But the type of barbs that you are sending against each other, this country will not heal. I beg you and I plead with you, both sides, look at each other, sit down, and cut off the campaign time. You have 3 years to go. You can put 2 years to help President Uhuru Kenyatta to fight the main problems facing Kenya. But give 1 year for your elections. So I find it very disturbing that we have, up to today, we have seriously lost the bearing of our lives. It is also very sad that many people have not realized that yesterday was the day, or the other day, years, 10 years, is not a long time. We were in the same situation, and we allowed it to happen. We are allowing it to happen again. Let's not regret. Thank you very much. The Standard newspaper, border is a timing. It needs regulations. The bad sad news on the Standard, on the Daily Nation. The lady who produced 5 children also died. May her soul rest in peace. God gave her a present of 5 and took away 2. Then remained with 2 or 3. Now she has also died. Evelyn Namakura story is on 28th, smiling, waving in her children. But she died in Eldoret Referral Hospital yesterday. Bad news, a woman who had given 5 children. She gave birth to 5 children in Kenya. 2 of them passed away. Yesterday she also complained of chest pain, and she also passed away in the hospital in Eldoret, some 270 miles away from here, or 300 miles away from the city Nairobi. And here we are. A miracle that God gave her 5 children has disappeared, because we needed to sit down and understand the history behind how the genes could have worked. She could have told a story of the experience of holding 5 children in her stomach. She gave birth to them, and there we are. We lost her. Thank you. God is the one who gives, and God is the one who takes away. Last weekend, the ODM lost its 2 parties. People, the Daily Nation says, chaos in the party. Kenya Airways to spend 2.5 billion on airport upgrade, to invest in private jets and the VIP terminals if takeover. You know, there are certain things that can be discussed at the moment. We have enough headache. First of all, I just want to be very candid on Kenya Airways. Improve the services in the cabin. Your quality of brandy. Some of us are used to very nice, fine brandy. Please, general manager, change the quality of your drinks in the cabin. They don't live to expectations of Emirates or Qatar. I'm honest. We used to have good brandy in. You want to have a nice brandy in Kenya Airways. You are in a business class. You are paid $3,000 to go to London. They bring you a brandy which is more or less of a Uganda Waraji. I cannot have that. I've been stomaching this too much, and it's better if we tell it on national television so that general manager, the Mzungu general manager, improves this airline. People have to talk about this airline. This is the pride of Africa. There is no other airline I travel on. Whether I'm going whether I'm going to America, the only airline that I use, now it is going to America. I will come to Kenya from London, go to Kenya and go to America. Not KLM. I don't use British Airways. I use only Kenya Airways. I've traveled Kenya Airways since 1985. I'm a Platinum Elite Plus, permanent elite, Platinum Elite Life member. But the quality of drinks that Kenya Airways is serving are poor. And we must tell them openly. They are busy trying to tell us they want to take over. You take over when the drinks are stupid, rubbish drinks. You bring us Camus. Who drinks Camus? How can you leave home having drunk Uganda Waraji and then you go and drink Camus? You are some of the people who are bringing the president's name down. Therefore, Kenya Airways improve. Telling us you are going to buy 2 jets, special VI. This is no. Improve the conditions, the service. First. Pay your workers properly. Don't bring in haphazard workers who are paid very little money and they do very bad work. Where is the drink? Where is Mattel? Where is Conversier? Where is Hennessy? Which we see in Emirates. Where is it? Who has brought this cause something like a cost us what? This is, you can't leave your house where you have been drinking cognac, the finest VSOP, OXO, and you drink that waraji. Bring the story this afternoon on People's Court. We want to build a nation. We want to help the president to build a nation. The president is not going to tell us that we are doing gangster or vigilante or no, because I travel there. I'm a platinum elite plus. I don't sit in economy. I sit in business class. I've traveled Kenya since 1985. Count how many years are there. I don't use any other plane. If the space is not there, I leave the next flight. But this type of service is not what we are not going with. This Muzungu is busy everywhere. He should concentrate on the in-cabin service. It's very poor. The type of drinks are cheap. I think they get them from China. Camus is not worth it. It's like a Uganda waraki. Take it out of our plane. Hello? Hello? You can't pay your $4,000, 4,000 pounds, 4,000 pounds or 3,500 pounds to London. And then you are told you are drinking Camus, which is like a Uganda changa. No. Mr. President, these are some of the things, that's what we do, and we are going to do them like this. The only way to finish corruption is to shame these people like this. Don't stop us. These are shame people. We are not police. We are not going to arrest people. But we are going to say it. Maraga is bad. Yes. Maraga is incompetent. He's incompetent. Whether you go to heaven to ask God, he will tell you that Maraga is incompetent. He hasn't written even one journal. Show me one journal a chief justice has written. One journal. One journal like Mutunga has written. Mutunga has written so many journals. Then you tell me chief justice is just wapi. I'm sorry. Thank you. Let me take a break. When I come back, I'm going to tackle one serious question. The question I'm going to tackle is very, very serious. And Africa is facing a challenge. And that question is like this. We have African news, which is coming next. And then the question is this. The main topic that starts in about a few minutes from now is Africa under a threat from external elements of regime change? Question mark. If yes, why? If no, why? Don't go away. That is interesting. And I'm now gonna give you predicting what I told you. It is here. It is here. It is already in Sudan. I think Bashir by now is gone. People have stayed there. It is here. I've been telling you. There's a regime change coming slowly through backdoor agencies. Be careful, yeah. But it is here. Don't go away. Prepare yourself for the countries which are now being regime changed. Surprisingly, Libya is again going the way I predicted some 6 years ago. I wrote the best paper that you can pick out. My man, Stephen, should have that paper. When I wrote and said some time back. It is on WW Pan African Forum, LOTD. Find that paper on Libya. I said, Libya will one day, there will be Mediterranean Sea, will have a problem, and no ships might pass there one day. I said the killing of Muammar Gaddafi will make the whole of North Africa a terrorist free-for-all zone. Now in Libya, General Khalifa Haftar is calling the other ones in Tripoli terrorists. The one in Libya, in Tripoli, is also calling General Khalifa Haftar a terrorist. Now, all of them mounted on 4x4 wheel Toyotas. They are heading to each other. Guess what will happen? But my question here is this. Where is African Union? Where is this club we call African Union? Useless. Where is it? It is seeing men, generals, driving through the desert, bypassing Misrata. Misrata and pass through the desert, go down. Someone is giving air reconnaissance to General Khalifa Haftar to bombard, take over what the UN-sponsored so-called terrorists, because all of them are terrorists anyway, except Gaddafi's son, Said Gaddafi, the one I pleaded in ICC to be released, the one I fought for. He's the only one left who is not a terrorist. Both of these are terrorists. Khalifa Haftar is also a terrorist. He's calling his friends terrorists. Where is the AU here? I always tell you, where is African Security Committee? Where are you? What are you doing? Kenya, you are a member of the Security Committee. What are you doing? I'm asking. For Millions Pan-African Station, thank you very much. Don't go away. Keep watching.
To be here today to participate with my brothers and sisters in this very important forum when we are reflecting and thinking about our country. When we are thinking about our country, we are thinking about ourselves, our people at home, and the generations to come. Mine is to assure you that we are doing our best as far as investigations are concerned. But at the same time, we do have quite a number of challenges, though they have not reached a point of dispiriting us, or rather demotivating us. We are trying to say that I wish everybody in this war of corruption may come on board. One thing I can say is, even before we go for some investigations outside there, some of the frustrations which really pull us down is some of the strange orders that we receive. Other than even starting the investigation, we are stopped even before we record a statement from somebody who you know very well are stolen from Kenyans. You know very well, and all Kenyans know, we are pursuing this person, and it's not something we're imagining. We all know, and we cannot lie to ourselves, surely, and everything can show, but we are stopped even before questioning that person. And when we receive some of those orders, like another one which I received just the other day, I was not even at the stage of even pursuing that person whatsoever. Then when the orders came, I read them very well. Do not use the door to go and arrest Mr. Hay. Then I said, okay, why is this preemptive? Then I said, fine, I consulted my regular advisors, they are here. And then I said, no, through my information, there is a window. If I cannot use the door to go and take Mr. Hay, then I'm going to use the window. And once I get through the window, I get a smoking gun, which is killing us. Just smoking, just immediately from murdering us Kenyans. When you steal from us, the hospital money, loans money, development fund for all this country, What do you think you are? You are not better than that terrorist you are battering there in the Dusit and other areas. Then, immediately, faithfully carrying our smoking gun, then what happened? We are told, don't dare, don't even bring this smoking gun here. Don't even touch that person. We are bad. Please listen to me. I have it here. Why don't you give me 10 minutes even to demonstrate I'm not malicious? Surely this is what I have. Then if I am, prove me within these 10 minutes. Nobody is ready to listen to us. What I can say is, thank you for prayers and support from Kenyans. I know very well that issue of mafia in Italy. It was completely almost replica, the capture of the mafia. The way the war was won, and the people's cry, they were wiped dry their tears. It was through the collective working and bravery of their police, prosecution, and judiciary. When most of them, they are on BCD, and then the police said, no, enough is enough. Our people have cried enough. Let's go to fight for our people. In as much some of them were still with the mafia. It was massacre. They said it's okay, let's die, but for the world cause of our people. The prosecution came on board and said, no, equally we hear the cry of our people. Let's join the war. They joined the police, the prosecutors. Then the judiciary came and said, no, then we shall not be left. They came on board. The war was won for their people, ultimately. We can say, equally in Kenya, we can take the cry of our Kenyans and they say, this greed, these millions we are stealing every day, stash them in bank, they are papers, we shall read them in this world. Let us say, what is enough for us is what God has given us. And the moment we say collectively, we are going to fight this war together, I can for sure tell you, this country is beautiful, it has plenty for each and every one of us. And I can for sure we shall have peace of mind. And even during our last days when they do come, even that billionaire and all that, you will be smiling knowing if there is heaven, me I'm a Christian, I believe there is one. At least then have a space after the one hereafter. So that one is to say, continue supporting us, praying for us. We shall do our level best, and we shall give all that we have for the sake of our motherland. Thank you.
afternoon, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from Nairobi, the Republic of Kenya, and simultaneously in Khartoum. We shall be crossing over to Khartoum to our political security correspondent right from Khartoum. Mr. Ali Mukhtar will be talking to us in a few minutes. But first of all, let me bring to you exactly what is taking place in Khartoum. Since last Saturday, civilians' masses walked. This is in regard to the topic that we are handling right now. Are there elements of regime change in Africa? External elements in regime change in Africa? If yes, why? If no, why? We shall be giving reasons. But let's cross over to our correspondent by phone from Khartoum. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Masanga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mukhtar. Mr. Ali Mukhtar, what is happening in Khartoum right now?
Yeah, we will go back to on the 6th of April, because the 6th of April is matching the same day that Numeri was overthrown by the people, the public, that when they went out demonstrating, raising many issues about the situation in the country and the way the country was been running. So these things has been rising, and people have responded all over states, and they marched to the army headquarters,
yes,
asking the army to stand with the people, with the public, so that Bashir has to step down, and then they take over to form an interim military council to prepare the nation for the democratic election.
You are yourself in Khartoum in one of the hotels, I presume one of the hotel cafes, or one of them on top of the roof. What are you seeing down in the palace, which is very close to the hotel that I am talking about?
Yes, it's not far. The hotel is not far from the military headquarters, because all the roads are blocked from the way to the military headquarters, to the border side, to the behind the road that's going to Emerald, the road that's going to Buri, the other side going to the town,
and the bridge going to the bridge Omdisman.
Yeah.
The road going to Omdisman Bridge, yes.
Yes, the Buri Bridge, and this all is full of people. And the day before, on the 7th morning, around 2 o'clock, so the security guards and the security personnel of the Bashir, they start shooting on air. This is where the army took over and protect the people. The same thing, the security organs came this morning around 2:45 a.m. and this time they start shooting, and this is how the army came up again to protect the people.
So you are saying the army is protecting the people, and the people are surrounding the palace right now from your viewpoint on top where you are. Is that happening right now?
Is that happening now? And then the number is increasing more than the 2 days ago. The number is now increasing. And you know, the Sudanese people, when they determine to do something, nothing can stop them. And that is why they have a slogan: anybody that want to stand against us, we will crush them, whether they bring them up, and then we will crush them. They don't fear. Even when these people start shooting yesterday, they are there not fearing, none of them. 2 days ago, when they start shooting people about, even there was a clash between the security organs and then the army personnel. Some of the captains was shot on their shoulders, and some of them has been rushed to the hospital, around 5 of them, and some were wounded. And that's why the military came, because the public are asking that the military and the public and the people are one. So army is there to protect the nation.
The whereabouts of President, my good friend President Ali Bashir, is he anywhere about you from the hotel where you were? Do you see anybody, security officers?
Yeah, from the direct source of Bashir, in the security meeting when the joint meetings was done, they have orders. They have orders the Minister of Defense and Security leaders, Director of the National Security, for them to use violence so that they can scatter these people. But the public and people who came out, they did not secure. That is why the army now has taken. But there is a lot of things that are happening now, and there is a lot of debate happening because there is a seem that Bashir, even himself, has accepted to step down. It is about the leadership who is going to take, but not the people that we used to be with Bashir. So this is the top things, and I think that is good for you to know.
We want, before we let you go, so that you maintain, it's unfortunate that your plane was delayed and you cannot come out of that place. You have to wait until at least something, things cool down. Are planes leaving the airport?
Yeah, I think this thing still is not clear for what we are seeing and for what we are hearing, because there is an update direct from the control room. There is an update direct from the control room.
Thank you.
There will be sooner a statement coming out by today. Sooner a statement coming out by today.
Thank you very much, Ali Muhammad Mukhtar, right from Khartoum, our correspondent. Thank you very much. Keep it going. You know, Punchline Africa has got all links all over the whole world, and we have people who can bring us the latest news, which none of the stations in Kenya is able to get right now. We are right now on the ground in Khartoum. Thank you very much, Mr. Ali Mukhtar, and keep on watching for us since you are near the presidential palace.
You have it right. You have it right. And there is a pressure from the international community about the step down of Bashir, and this is going to be a good news, and people are going to celebrate.
Now, before you leave, if you say Bashir steps down, remember America seemed to have given in a gesture of goodwill for Bashir, that they don't want to Sudan to pay for anything in their courts. They wanted the ICC out. Americans don't value the ICC, and therefore they don't recognize any indictment. And from sources in Washington, in the State Department, the ones I've talked to, authoritatively, they are saying they could lift the ban on General Bashir on the question of ICC. The United States government is allowing General Bashir very soon, within months to come, to be able to fly into America, because the ICC is not recognized anymore. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, we have the information we had about it, but this is not the case now, because the offer that was given to Bashir is to step down a long time ago and then to hand over the leadership. But these things has never happened. Bashir has been insisting to be in power and bringing these militant people from the Janjaweed to protect him. But now he has seen himself, the will of the people is different than what he has surrounded himself with. And if people are now in the state house, which is the residential of the president, people have entered in there, the public have entered in there. That is mean it's a gone case. It's a gone case. And that is why the new leadership that is going to take over from the military council is not going to be from Bashir group, and not going to be from the Islamic group. It's not going to be from the National Congress group. So it's going to be different. Somebody that they are proposing is still on the way to come. But they have somebody now.
Right, the viewer from Khartoum, Sudan, please. Then now, before you leave, we in East Africa are more concerned about the peace process in South Sudan. And what is happening, since you are in Khartoum, what is happening to General Dr. Riek Machar? Where is he?
Yeah, as you had, the media has been talking about that Riek, since he went to Khartoum for that peace agreement and come to Juba for the celebration Riek from South Africa has been detained again in Sudan under the house arrest. So Riek is not free to move everywhere.
Dr. Riek Machar is not free, but why is he in this confusion? Because the army that put him under detention seem to be changing hands. So where is Riek Machar? Are we expecting Riek Machar will leave that place? Do we expect him to return much earlier than expected? I am sorry to put you under this, Mr. Ali Muhtar. I'm sorry to put you under this, but as our correspondent, we made a relationship with you while I was in Khartoum. We made it good. I want you to tell me frankly, what is this that where is Riek? Because the government of Kenya, those watching me are more interested in knowing where Riek is, because the war could resume in South Sudan. We are more worried. It was Bashir who guaranteed this war, and if Bashir is under siege by the military that has purportedly, allegedly detained Riek Machar, what is the situation there in South Sudan, in Khartoum?
I think, Dr. Masanga, what is going to happen, because with the new leadership that will happen, the new overlook for the situation, new overlook for even the separation of South Sudan, new overlook for what they have put themselves, even the grantee of this peace. So new overlook for political engagement between the two countries. And because that is going to be a new era to Sudan, because they are screaming out, they want to establish a new Sudan, which is going to be a better country for those who have been the warring parties in Darfur, in Blue Nile, in Nuba Mountains and other places. So this is going to be a serious one, and I think Riek being there, it is depend on the new leadership. What are they going to do with it?
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali Mukhtar, all the way our correspondent, punchline correspondent from Khartoum, for giving us an insight. We shall come back to you at 3 p.m. East African Standard Time. Get ready, be on the line. If you don't, if things have improved, we shall again interview you at about that time. But keep us updated. You send us whatever information you have. We shall update the East Africans who are watching us right from here. And many people in Amazonia, worldwide, those in Germany, those in America, watching. That is the situation in Khartoum. The situation in Khartoum is exactly what our topic was going to bring today. Is there a regime change in Africa? Is regime change slowly pumped by George Soros and his surrogates? Is it slowly pushing out governance and replacing with the people that they hate? They want to remove the people they hate and place their own people. Is George Soros having his dream come true? That's the question today. That's the question. If there are regime changes, external elements coming to overthrow governments, why is it so? Is it yes? And if yes, why? Is it no? And if no, why? First of all, before I do that, this is 34 minutes past the hour. Let me read African news first. Zimbabwe, United States, Britain, relations with Zimbabwe is improving. Zimbabwe's relationship with the United States and Britain are improving, with Western powers extending help after the country was hit by devastating tropical cyclone Idai. In a gesture of goodwill that has shown there is always a warmer side of diplomacy. That's very good for Africa. In Cameroon, the Cameroonian French army deploys troops bracing for anti-beer protests. Again, anti-beer protests in Yaoundé. I think things are now there. I told you there is a regime change coming slowly in Africa. Cameroon has deployed troops to crack down on protesters calling for a release from jail of 150 opposition leaders and members, including their leader Maurice Kamto, who says he won the elections in October, but he was jailed by Paul Biya, who has led this country for the last 36 years and is still in power. And Kamto has been in jail for more than 2 months, and his supporters say he should be unconditionally released. In Algeria, parliament is to elect a new interim president on Tuesday tomorrow. Algerian parliament will elect a new president tomorrow to replace President Bouteflika, who actually resigned after being forced by the army to do so. Under the constitution, both chambers of the assembly need to formally confirm the vacancy of the presidency and elect an upper house president to run the country on an interim basis for 3 months until elections are held. Across again Tunisia, where the Arab Spring began from, Tunisian President Benji Said Assebi on Saturday announced that he will not run for the second term in presidential elections expected this year, despite his party's calls for 93-year-old to stand. A 93-year-old. You see, these are the problems now coming up in North Africa that you can see for yourself. Mass protests that toppled ailing President Abdelaziz Bouteflika in opposed across Algeria have started the opposition in Tunisia, and the social media campaigns have begun rejecting the second term for Mr. Essebsi. Africa. President Sisi begins African tour across Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, and Senegal. He will be traveling to these countries as the chairman of African Union. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi began an African tour on Sunday, which includes visits to Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, and Senegal, after which he will leave to the United States of America. Spokesman for Egyptian President Bassam Radeh said the president's foreign tour to West Africa comes as a part of efforts by Egypt to intensify cooperation with fellow African nations and further strengthen its relations across the continent. Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia awaits AU signal to endanger Somalia dialogue. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is awaiting a European Union input to boost reconciliation initiative between Somalia and Somaliland. Remember, these two countries, one of them, the Puntland, has declared itself independent and it has its own administration. And Makiu, there is no terrorism in the other Somaliland of Puntland, and there is terrorism in the other Somalia of Mogadishu. In Uganda, an American tourist kidnapped in Uganda was freed after shillings 50 million ransom was paid. A USA tourist and a safari guide kidnapped by gunmen in the Uganda National Park have been recovered safe and sound after a ransom was paid for their release. That brings us to the top of the hour, and it is 39 minutes past 12, which is 39 minutes past 10 in German, where our studios and the satellite is. Let's come back to the main topic that we are discussing before. Regime change in Africa. But before we go to regime change in Africa, Libya. Libya faces challenges. You can see from this African news, in Cameroon, we have reached the point of a protest and a heavy protest. I think by now Americans have realized that our talking here every day, they need something to be done in Cameroon. And that is exactly what is going to take place in Cameroon. Demonstrators are going to come on the streets of Yaoundé. They will break down everything. They will make sure that everything is done. If it is not done, There is no sacred cows at all. The move must be there, it must inject, it must make sure that everything is done and done properly. Elsewhere in Africa, Libya, this was my statement when I said Libya is burning again. I wrote it in the year, I don't know, if I could be told the year by my production team, I'm not on the website. After the killing of Muammar Gaddafi, I want to take this opportunity first to thank the people, the countries that stood by Libya at the hour when Libya was being bombarded. I was one of those who stood by Libya, and I was one of those who opposed Resolution 1970 of the United Nations Security Council that mandated Sarkozy, Cameron, and Obama to kill Gaddafi. It is not surprising at all that today we sit here mourn and bemoan and ask for help. Today we sit here, we see Khalifa Haftar. We arm him. We give him surveillance planes. Remember, General Khalifa Haftar is a trained officer who spent most of the time in the United States of America. He has been trained in the United States of America. He has been equipped. He has been living on an allowance of 20,000 shillings, $20,000 per day or per month. He has now been supported. And we have to be candid as the African Union. The support General Haftar has received from Egypt, United Arab Emirates, and France has propelled General Haftar with the surveillance of planes and satellite to be able to leave Benghazi bases and ride across the desert towards Tripoli. There is no way, having gone to Libya, you can fail to see the distance between Benghazi and Tripoli through a desert. If you pass there without ambush, then there must be something that is propelling you to arrive in Tripoli. The situation in Tripoli right now as we speak is very fluid. Yesterday 21 people died, 22 people died, and many of them injured as the government in Tripoli fights to defend its position. Remember, these two countries one is sponsored by the AU, by the African Union, by the United Nations. And the Secretary General of the United Nations went to meet Khalifa Haftar to persuade him not to take over Tripoli, but it was rejected flatly. Viewers, is regime change moving towards Africa? Yes. Elements of regime change which I talked about. If you look at countries like Zimbabwe, look at countries like Uganda, look at countries like Khartoum, look at countries like South Africa, regime change seems to be coming closer and closer on a daily basis. The funding by these organizations of NGOs by George Soros and his Open Society Foundation brings closer to a conclusion. George Soros funded in Ukraine, funded a comedian who won an election. Ukraine is going to have, for the first time, if they go for a runoff, for the first time Ukraine will have a comedian as a president. Then we have so many other, people that Ukraine is funding. Sorry, George Soros is funding. George Soros is funding quite a lot of other activities in Africa, in Europe, in South America, in Asia. He cannot fund in Russia because the Russians want him by warrant of arrest. So if you look at all this boils up to one cardinal principle. A regime change is slowly approaching many African countries. The case of Uganda, for example, most of the political parties in Uganda depend on money from George Soros. If you ask any political party in Uganda, like basically, where do you get your money? Do you have a bank account for the party? There is no money on the party account. But how do you operate? It's George Soros. If you ask why the musician is able to fly to Europe, get what he wants, come back, or fly to America, get what he wants and come back, is George Soros. If you ask Chamisa in Zimbabwe, where is he getting the money to fight the government, to tell the people that they are going to overthrow Mnangagwa, despite Mnangagwa struggling so hard to maintain a status quo of a country that had sanctions? It is still George Soros. Bob Wine is George Soros. The lawyer of Bob Wine is paid, is a George Soros man who handles George Soros cases worldwide. In Hungary, in Slovakia, in Czech Republic, in all those places in the former Eastern Europe. It's George Soros' lawyer. So you can't expect George Soros' lawyer not to be, and to be Bob Wine's lawyer, the same. So we have a problem here. As Africans, time has come for us to stand and watch and say, look at ourselves. Are there some George Soros elements amongst ourselves who are getting money funded to come and overthrow? A few months ago, I told you that there was a meeting between Macron and Idris, Idris, the president of Chad. Macron flew into Jamena, and Idris also flew into Israel. The money was pumped to Macron through Jamena. The chaos that is in Khartoum is from Jamena. And that is not a lie. That's why the AU Secretary General, the AU chairperson, cannot say anything because he's captured. The state of AU is captured. Troops are heading to Tripoli. There is no delegation going into Tripoli to mediate, and nobody going to Benghazi to stop this carnage of Libyans dying again. The AU is captured. We have no AU. You can say whatever you want, but time will tell. There is no AU here. The African Union died. It died with Zuma, Dlamini Zuma. There is no AU here. The wars are raging. Regime change is being prepared. Jamena prepares regime change against Bashir. Don't you think they can prepare anything against any country in Africa? It is up to you to make a judgment. My role is give you information and for you to utilize that information. God willing, one day you will come back and say, yes, this gentleman was right. On the question of Gaddafi, I warned the people, I said the Mediterranean Sea would become a heaven of ISIS. We have removed ISIS in Syria, but the ISIS are crowded in Libya. They enslave black people. They hate the black skin that goes through, hoping to cross over to Italy. It is very sad. It It is very, very sad for the people of these nations of Africa to watch the African countries mutilated, cut to pieces, changed from one place to the other. African heads of state only come in Addis Ababa to endorse what they want to be endorsed. But when it comes to talking about the unity of purpose, where is the unity of purpose? When can we have the unity of purpose? When can we liberate Africa? When can we stand for Africa? Africa is being bulldozed. Buhari is slaughtering people silently in Nigeria. No African Union head of state is talking about it. Nobody. Yet Nigerians voted, 54 million did not vote. Today people are asking, why did they vote? And they are killing them every day. They are killing Biafrans, asking them, why did they vote? Why did you not vote? There is no law in Nigeria that says you have to go and vote. So if people did not vote, leave them. In Amazonia across, we have a lot of serious problems, challenges. Amazonians live in their bushes. Women are still in the bushes as we talk today. Nobody has gone to rescue. Is African Union worth it or not? Is the regime change? Is why? Finally, let me use these 8 minutes left to say, why then are this regime change coming? In circumstances like where presidents have overstayed, the question of Sudan in now Khartoum, the question of Paul Biya, the question of other presidents in Africa, regime change tend to be coming towards those areas. The regime change seems to be targeting presidents who have overstayed in power. The one over Algeria overstayed. The one in Tunisia said he will not go for second term. He saved his neck. He's 93 years old. Is there a way that Africa can avoid this regime change? Yes. By handing over power, making transitional situations, prepare people to take over from what you have done. Prepare those who can take over and say, do the Nyerere style. Nyerere left power, but controlled power from a remote control. He survived. Tanzania today is the most peaceful country because Nyerere controlled power from a remote control, and the left kept Chama cha Mapinduzi intact. Up to today, there is no candidate who can defeat Chama cha Mapinduzi in Tanzania. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the scenario we have. That is the country that we need. That's the situation that we have. That's the Africa that we have today. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you who have been watching us since morning at 11. We have done our bit. We have talked about the judiciary in Kenya, the corrupted judiciary in Kenya, incompetent, uncoordinated. 6 judges of the Supreme Court are under the microscope of the same law they are supposed to keep. We have no regrets. We just ask Chief Justice Maraga to lead his band so that a new crop of judges is put in place to resolve many of these cases that are coming up. We have talked about the handshake in Kenya. We have talked about the regime change, the protests that are encouraged by, which should be encouraged. For example, in Cameroon, Such protests should be encouraged. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you, to thank everybody, to thank our brothers on South Cameroon Broadcasting Corporation in Berlin for putting us across to 150 million people. If you want to advertise on this television station, send us your advert, however small it is. Our charges are not very bad. You can contact our main offices, and the offices are under our telephones, and everything is under there on the screen, and then you will be given a quotation from the two companies after corroboration, and then you can advertise. The people in Kenya, those adverts are welcome, so that we keep the African spirit going. We are volunteers in Africa. We need such work that can keep us going and broadcasting and bringing all this news every day, every morning, until then. Thank you very much. In the afternoon, the People's Courts at 3 p.m. I'll return with more or less the People's Courts. I'll discuss the question of what it is to make things better in Africa. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, those on the television can also switch to our radio station. It works from 6 to 8. Wherever you are, we exchange programs. Send us any program that you want us to discuss on youth, on women, on elderly, on everything, any social, any political topic. I answer questions of the public from 6 to 8. I only answer political questions on Africa. Wherever you are as an African, take heed, ask me the questions, I will answer. Thank you very much. I want to go through some of the Chinedu Ichalongwa Mark says the problem is that each time we have someone that can help on African situation, the white men will use bad eggs in African leadership to eliminate the person, like what they did in Libya. I agree with you, Mr. Chinedu, that that is what happened. Lumumba is not here. Samora Machel is not here. Amir Cabral is not here. Sekou Touré is not here. Obote is not here. If Obote was not overthrown by the same Western powers twice, instigated coups, he would not have died in exile. He would have died making a change. Everybody is gone. So here we are. We remain the best as we are. And we shall remain as we are until we stand up against any oppression against Africa. This station, therefore, it's for Africa, with Africa, by Africa, Charles.